This is Michael Flores, writer, director, actor, Dogs on the Sendero. So what are we doing tonight? We're reading this. Dogs on the Sendero, an independent review. This is a deep dive into the story, themes, and performances, and the symbolism of Michael Flores' moving film about grief, resilience, and the journey of healing. Written by Andres A. Petry. I think that's how you pronounce it. Who knows? I looked this dude up to see what else he had. And there was a couple of other reviews he had done for like some pretty big mainstream films. So I don't know like what made him choose us, along with his other, big Hollywood blockbusters. I don't know, but I'm flattered nonetheless. But here we go. Let's dive in. I feel like LeVar Burton right now. Take a look, it's in a book, a reading rainbow. This thing it's huge. It's 150 pages. I'm flattered. I don't even have this much to say about this movie. Well, maybe I do. I don't know. An introduction. In the vast landscape of modern cinema, where blockbuster spectacles often dominate the spotlight, indie films like Dogs on the Sendero carve out a unique space. Wow. Offering intimate, heartfelt stories that resonate on a deeply personal level. Directed by and starring Michael Flores. That's me. This Central New York production emerges as a poignant exploration of grief, cultural identity, and the healing power of human and animal companionship. This is going to be a long night. No, it's not. I promise. Released on August 5th, 2025. With availability on streaming platforms such as Amazon, Apple TV Plus, and Fandango at Home, the film has quietly garnered attention. Very quietly. Securing nearly 20 awards on the film festival circuit. That is true. That is very true. Yeah, close to 20 awards we've got so far for this film. We're pretty proud of that. Yes, its limited mainstream exposure leaves it as a hidden gem, waiting to be discovered by audiences who value emotional depth, authentic storytelling. This review aims to unpack the layers, like an onion, Dogs on the Sendero, examining its narrative themes and cultural significance while celebrating its indie roots and the passion behind its creation. Lots of passion. We're not low on that by any means. At its core, Dogs on the Sendero follows Sol, a man grappling with the devastating loss of his wife in a school shooting. Devastated and adrift, Sol embarks on a road trip across the United States with his loyal dog, Rosie, as his companion. This journey is not merely a physical one, but a profound odyssey of healing, self-discovery, and reconnection with his mestizo heritage. Along the way, Sol encounters strangers in need, offering help and forming connections that mirror his own quest for meaning. The film's title, evoking the Spanish word sendero, which means path or trail, hints at a metaphorical and literal paths Sol traverses, with Rosie serving as both a grounding presence and a symbol of unconditional love. This premise sets the stage for a narrative that intertwines personal grief with broader themes of community, identity, and resilience, making it a compelling subject for analysis. Wow. All high praise so far. That was very nice. What makes Dogs on the Sendero particularly noteworthy is its indie ethos, rooted in the local culture of Central New York, filmed in locations like Utica and Frankfurt. The movie showcases a region rarely seen in mainstream cinema, lending it an authenticity that grounds its emotional stakes. Michael Flores, a filmmaker with a clear passion for storytelling. Is it clear? Wears multiple hats as director, writer, and lead actor, infusing the project with a personal touch that resonates throughout. Man, these are all very, very lovely, lovely things. I'm speechless. The involvement of a local cast and crew further amplifies the film's grassroots appeal, reflecting a community-driven effort to tell a universal story. This regional flavor, combined with the film's focus on a mestizo protagonist, positions it as a culturally significant work that bridges personal and collective identities. The film's festival success of nearly 20 awards speaks to its ability to connect with audiences in smaller, more intimate settings. While it lacks a robust critical presence on platforms like Rotten Tomatoes, that's right. If you're a Rotten Tomatoes critic, you should definitely go review this film, because it's a good movie, and it deserves attention. Like, those studio films don't need your attention, man. They don't. They got all the money in the world. We do, though, and we don't have that kind of marketing budget. So if you are a critic, a Rotten Tomatoes certified critic, please give us the time of day. I guarantee you won't regret it. It's a good movie. You'll leave with something. Its accolades suggest a resonance with viewers who appreciate its sincerity and emotional weight. This dichotomy, festival acclaim versus limited mainstream visibility, raises intriguing questions about the challenges indie films face in reaching broader audiences. Dogs on the Sendero stands as a testament to the power of small-scale storytelling, yet it also invites scrutiny of its execution, from pacing to production values, which this review will explore in depth. Oh, that sounds not as great as the rest of it so far. This table of contents outlines a comprehensive analysis of Dogs on the Sendero, with each chapter delving into a specific facet of the film. From its thematic depth to its visual auditory craftsmanship, the review will evaluate how effectively the movie balances its ambitious goals with its constraints of its indie framework. It's true. Chapters will explore Soul's character arc, the cultural representation of mestizo heritage, and the film's emotional impact, while also addressing potential shortcomings such as pacing and limited exposure. He's kind of repeating himself here now. By examining Michael Flores' dual role as director and actor, the review will assess how his vision shapes the film's identity. Additionally, the analysis will contextualize Dogs on the Sendero within the indie genre and compare it to similar works, offering a nuanced perspective on its place in contemporary cinema. This review seeks to celebrate Dogs on the Sendero for its heartfelt narrative and cultural resonance. Wow. Thank you. While providing a balanced critique of its strengths and limitations. For viewers seeking a story that speaks to the human experience of grief, this is a huge typo. It's like 3 words together. It's human experience grief, healing, and the search for belonging in this. This is another typo. Words put together. Belonging in this. It's 3 words combined into one. Film offers a poignant, if understated, journey. As we dive into the following chapters, we'll uncover what makes this indie drama a compelling addition to the cinematic landscape and why it deserves a closer look from audiences willing to walk its path. Wow. Beautifully said. My heart is aflutter. All right, so that was just the introduction right there. Chapter 1. Synopsis and storyline. Dogs on the Sendero, directed by and starring Michael Flores, opens with a premise that immediately grips the heart. A man named Saul, shattered by the tragic loss of his wife in a school shooting, sets out on a cross-country road trip with his dog Rosie to find solace and purpose. This indie drama, filmed in the evocative landscapes of central New York, weaves a narrative that is as much about internal healing as it is about external exploration. The story unfolds as a tapestry of grief, cultural rediscovery, and human connection, with Saul's journey serving as a lens through which the film examines resilience, identity, and the bonds that tether us to life, even in the face of overwhelming sorrow. I'm just like really blown away by all this. Like, to hear somebody else kind of, sum this up and contextualize this story in this fashion is I'm over the moon. This chapter provides a detailed synopsis of the film's storyline and is analyzing its narrative structure, key plot points, and the emotional undercurrents that drive its progression. The film begins by introducing Saul, a man in his late 30s. Is he? I don't think we ever give his age, so that's just an assumption right there. I don't know. Maybe they're just going off of my age. Or how old I look. Okay. His life has been upended by the sudden and violent death of his wife. The school shooting that claims her life is not depicted in the in graphic detail. That's good. I'm glad that he noted that. It's not depicted in graphic detail, but it is instead a haunting backdrop. This is true. We didn't want to actually... We're not, making a horror film or some kind of graphic film, because it's not about the shooting, It's about the aftermath of all that. It's about the struggles of surviving that. But I digress. I'll let Andres further elaborate. Referenced through Saul's quiet moments of despair and the weight of his memories, the opening scene, set in a small central New York town, established Saul's isolation. This is another typo. There's a lot of typos in here, like words that are connected to each other. Isolation in his, 3 words put as one. Home feels empty. His routine's hollow. Rosie, a soulful dog with expressive eyes, is his only constant companion. And their bond is immediately palpable. That's wonderful. The film's early moments linger on their interactions. Saul speaking softly to Rosie, her gentle nudges offering comfort. This relationship okay. I'm just going to keep going. This relationship sets the emotional foundation for the story, positioning Rosie not just as a pet, but as a co-protagonist whose presence anchors Saul's journey. That is true. That was the intention of having him travel with the dog. Prompted by a need to escape the suffocating grief in his hometown. It's not his hometown, but okay. Saul decides to embark on a road trip. His destination is not a specific place, but rather a vague hope of healing. A Sendero. Or path that he must forge for himself. The film's title, Dogs on the Sendero, evokes this metaphorical trail, suggesting a journey of discovery through uncharted emotional terrain. Saul's decision to travel is spurred by a desire to reconnect with his mestizo heritage, a cultural identity he feels disconnected from in the wake of his loss. Well, it's probably before that, but sure. Armed with little more than a beat-up car, Okay. There's another red flag already. There might be a little AI involved here. This did come out awful fast. So the film's only been released for like a month and a half. So his beat up car and a few belongings and Rosie. It's not a car. It's obviously an RV. So anyway, Saul sets out across the United States with an open road symbolizing both freedom and uncertainty. That's true. Man, he's getting it. As Saul and Rosie travel, the narrative shifts into a series of episodic encounters, each one a vignette that deepens the film's exploration of human connection and purpose. I never thought of it as, like, episodic, but I guess in a way it kind of is, sure. Saul's journey is not aimless. He seeks out people in need. Does he? No, I wouldn't say that either. I feel like he's kind of like the unlikely hero in that regard. He doesn't seek them out. He comes upon them, offering help in small but meaningful ways. In one early scene, he stops in a rural town to... Okay. Yeah. This was definitely... I'm questioning whether this person actually even watched the movie. I'll continue, and if you've seen the film, you'll immediately know why. Okay. He stops in a rural town to assist an elderly woman whose car has broken down. That does not happen. Their interaction is brief, but tender. Man, this guy's writing his own movie. With Saul's quiet kindness revealing his need to give back as a way of processing his grief. I mean, that's a nice sentiment, but it didn't happen. These moments are interspersed with scenes of Saul and Rosie alone camping under starlit skies. Sharing meals from a cooler or driving through the rolling hills of upstate New York. We did drive through the rolling hills of upstate New York, but I'm sorry to say that camping under starlit skies and sharing meals from a cooler, I mean, those happened in real life, like on set and in production, but not in the film. Okay. The film's central New York setting, including Utica and Frankfurt, are more than mere backdrops. They ground the story in a specific sense of place with their small town charm and rugged landscapes, mirroring Saul's internal struggle. Okay. A significant thread in the storyline is Saul's exploration of his mestizo heritage. Through flashbacks and conversations with... Man, this guy is really writing his own film. Flashbacks and conversations with strangers. The film reveals that Saul's wife was a vibrant advocate for cultural pride. Okay. And her death has left Saul questioning his own connection to his roots. On the road, he seeks out communities and individuals who share his heritage, attending a local festival. In one scene where he watches traditional dance, does he? He listens to story from elders. These moments are handled with care, avoiding stereotypes and focusing instead on authentic lived experience. You betcha, that's exactly what we did. They were handled with such grace because they didn't actually even happen. That's it. That didn't happen in the movie. So it's funny though, because earlier drafts of the script did involve Saul attending like a powwow, and those were eventually scrapped because mostly for budgetary reasons. But it's funny. We did have a plan to do something. We actually even had a plan. There was going to be. He wasn't going to go home to just see his mother and his father. He was actually going to have a brother that he was going to be seeing, and he and his father were going to meet up with his brother at a powwow. But that scene was scrapped and didn't actually happen. So it's really funny that they mention it in here, But if you haven't seen the scene yet, I'm sorry to ruin it for you. That doesn't happen. Okay. Soul's interaction with these communities are not always profoundsome. Profoundsome? Is that a word? I've never heard that word. Profoundsome. I think it's just profound and is a typo. I don't think profoundsome is a word. Or awkward or fleeting, but they collectively help him piece together a sense of identity that he had neglected in his grief. The narrative structure of Dogs on the Sendero is deliberately episodic. It's not. Reflecting the unpredictability of the road trip and the fragmented nature of Saul's emotional state. Each encounter builds toward a subtle transformation. Though the film avoids a neat resolution, no, it doesn't. One memorable episode involves Saul meeting a young runaway who reminds him of his own vulnerability. That is true. Their conversation, set against the backdrop of a quiet dinner, is raw and unembellished, with the runaway's guarded optimism contrasting Saul's wary introspection. I think it's kind of the other way around there. I think the runaway is actually the one that's more, has the weary introspection, and Saul is the one being optimistic in one way or another. Rosie, ever present, as she was, bridges their interaction by offering the runaway a moment of comfort, reinforcing her role as a catalyst for connection. Speaking of a catalyst of connection, this boy just had to get in on this. Say hi. This is Rosie's little brother, Sonny. Okay. Be cool, kid. Where were we? These scenes are carefully paced, allowing the audience to sit with Saul's emotions without rushing toward a forced epiphany. It's not forced, but there definitely is kind of a bit of a epiphany in that scene. I would call it an epiphany, for sure. Not just for Jamie, the runaway, but for Saul as well. The film's emotional climax comes late in the story when Saul reaches a remote community where he volunteers to help rebuild a community center damaged by a storm. This guy's a goddamn saint. Oh my goodness. Thank you, mijo. Oh, thank you very much. I'm just laughing. I'm not upset. Thank you very much. This act of service through physically demanding becomes a turning point for Saul. As he works alongside locals, he begins to see his grief not as an endpoint, but as part of a larger tapestry of human struggle and resilience. Wow. My word. You could write a whole book based on what this guy's digging up here. This scene is grand speeches. This scene is grand speech. Man, there's a lot of typos here. Is grand speeches or dramatic revelations, but it carries weight through Saul's quiet realization that helping others is helping himself. Rosie, lying nearby, watches him with a knowing gaze as if affirming his progress. That's just Rosie just going, you know, you're doing it. Way to go, Dad. Oh, my Lord. This is funny. This moment encapsulates the film's core message. Healing is not a destination, but a process. That is, I agree with that 100%. Found in small acts of kindness and connection. That I couldn't have said that better myself. But I could have asked AI to say it for me, apparently, because I feel like it did. Sorry, Andres, I'm shitting all over your book, man. But come on, dude, you obviously didn't watch the movie. The storyline is not without its challenges. The episodic nature, it goes with the episodics again. while reflective of a road trip, occasionally risks feeling disjointed, with some encounters less developed than others. Yeah, I'd say so, because they didn't actually happen, bruh. For instance, a brief scene involving a... Here we go, here's another one. Involving a hitchhiker feels underdeveloped. I'll say, how about not developed at all? This is not in the movie. Leaving the audience wanting more insight into their story. Yeah, I want more insight into their story. What the hell is this guy talking about? Yet these minor lapses are outweighed by the film's sincerity and its commitment to showing Saul's growth as incremental rather than cinematic. That's nice. The narrative avoids cliches of a road trip. There's another typo. Genre. No? I think it's just supposed to be genre. But road trip genre. Oh, no genre, comma, no romantic subplots or contrived resolutions, focusing instead on Saul's internal journey and his bond with Rosie. That's true. By the film's conclusion, Saul has not fully healed in the conventional sense, but he has found a fragile peace. The final scenes return to central New York, where Saul visits a place significant to his wife's memory. The moment is quiet, almost meditative, as he sits with Rosie and reflects on their journey. And that's nice, but again, it didn't really happen. I guess it kind of did. I don't know. If you watch the film, you'll see for yourself. The film ends on an open note. No, well, is it open? I guess it's open, sort of. It's not like to be continued, but on an open note with Soul Soul driving off into the horizon, suggesting his Sendero continues. Again, I hate to ruin this movie for anyone who hasn't seen it yet, but that's not how it ends. They don't ride off into the sunset. As poetic as that might be. This ambiguity is one of the film's strengths, inviting viewers to project their own hopes and interpretations onto Saul's future. Now that is true. There is more of a resolution than him just, driving off into the sunset, never to return. But there is kind of a hopeful note left for the audience to kind of fill in that gap and hopefully, kind of depict their own eventuality for Saul to finally reach, or his journey to continue to another place or something else. In summary, the storyline of Dogs on the Sendero is a delicate balance of personal and universal, grounded in Saul's grief and elevated by his quest for meaning. Its episodic structure, while occasionally uneven, I'll say, buddy, mirrors the messiness of healing, and that's a nice sentiment. But anyhow, messiness of healing and its focus on cultural identity adds a layer of depth that sets it apart from typical road trip narratives. Saul and Rosie's journey is both intimate and expansive, offering a portrait of resilience that resonates long after the credits roll. That's sweet. As we move forward in this review, subsequent chapters will delve into the film's themes, characters, and technical execution, building on this foundation to assess the full impact. Boy, I cannot wait. Oh my goodness. He's already made up so many characters. I can't wait to hear what he says about them. This was fun. Okay, we're going to do this again. That was the introduction and first chapter of Dogs on the Sendero. An independent review. Very independent. The description of this book, it calls itself like a companion book for the movie. No, it isn't. Not at all. This is insane. I didn't know you could just do this. You know what I mean? Just write whatever bullshit you want and put it for sale on Amazon. Look, there's even an ISBN code on the back of it. Like, this is a legit, like, this is a self-published book. I'm assuming it's self-published. There's no publisher on here. Yeah. Okay, well, this was fun. Well, thanks for joining me. Have a good night. I love you.